Hey, what's up, guys? Chase here. Today, I wanted to talk about a few things in the Battlefield community that have been really hot. I've been enjoying Battlefield 6 lately. It's my most played game for the latter half of this year, for sure. Um, I was playing a lot of Helldivers earlier this year, and, a few other things here and there, but Battlefield 6 has really been the game that I was looking forward to the most. I did play a lot of Battlefield 2042, to be fair. So, but the only Battlefield games I haven't played since I started was, I played 3, I played 4, I didn't play Hardline, I played 4 all throughout Hardline's lifespan. I picked up Battlefield 1, I did not get Battlefield 4, I got 2042, and now I got 6. So, I didn't play any of the Bad Companies. I was a little too young when those games came out, so all of the millennial Battlefielders can chew me out. But I've got a fair few years in this franchise under my belt at this point, and I think I feel pretty confident in what the developers' vision. Like I'm confident in my ability to interpret what the developers are trying to do with this game. Like every Battlefield game has like a gimmick, right? Like Levolution, commander mode, like stuff like that. Like Battlefield to me has always been sort of like a brother to Call of Duty, right? So like Call of Duty has abandoned the grittiness or like the groundedness a long time ago, but it was a really popular game and people liked it. And I think Battlefield also kind of let some of the whimsy take over, which I let me be clear. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, it's a video game. Like, I think it should have some character to it, right? Like, people seem to want this game to be like Arma when they've never even played an Arma. It's like they just don't want the developers to have cosmetics that they don't like in the game. Like, the fact of the matter is that if you don't like anything in the Battle Pass, you don't have to. If you don't like any of the camos for the guns, you don't have to. Like, you can run a factory black gun or tan gun or whatever you want if you want that. So people have been complaining a lot about the Battle Pass, that it was really grindy. It didn't have a lot of reward for the grind, and to me that kind of seems like a problem that solves itself. Like, if there's nothing in the Battle Pass worth getting and it's really grindy, like you've kind of answered your own question at that point, right? Like, the Battle Pass really is sort of there for people who want to, just want to have something to complete. Like, do I think it should be something that's desirable for the amount of money that people pay for it in a already premium title? I mean, of course, I think it should be good, but I don't think that the Battle Pass should be the linchpin of your motivation for playing this game, right? Like, for me, my motivation for playing this game, sure, like, I like getting camos, I like getting achievements, I like doing that, but I play games because I want to, hang out and chat with my buddies, and I want to have fun, and I want to get better at playing games, right? Like, that's why we do it. Like, I'm not playing a game for the skins, or like, maybe I shouldn't be, but that's, I just think that's a really bad way to rationalize why we're playing games. And, if the Battle Pass sucks, then the game's not worth playing. Like, if the game's not worth playing on the merits of the game to you, that's perfectly fine. Like, I can take that. And I think a lot of people can respect that. If you just say, hey, it's not for me, I can't jive with the gunplay, whatever, that's fine. But the Battle Pass being a slog, and the weekly challenges being a slog. Also, when the weekly challenges are like arm an MCOM or get like 10 kills as an assault or whatever, the hardest ones ironically are like healing teammates as support, because the healing mechanic in every Battlefield game is kind of jank with how that works. So weird stuff, but it's just meant to get you to try to experiment with different things. Right, so I usually play Recon. I play Recon for the vast majority of this game, but there was a challenge to get nade launcher damage. Well, I just went out and I started plugging people in the face with a grenade launcher. It wasn't the way I usually play, but you get better when you play as different styles of the game. And when you know how one style needs to play to be successful, it can help you in the style of gameplay that you normally play, because then you know, okay, well, I know this guy needs to do this to get an advantage on me, so I can, Uno reverse card him once I have a better concept of how that strategy goes. So I digress on that point. I think that, to an extent, having players be able to experience variability and sort of incentivize that in the gameplay is good. I think that's a good thing. I don't like playing Battle Royale. I don't really like playing Gauntlet, so I will re-roll those challenges. I think maybe certain facets of the game, particular ones, maybe a little bit rough. I don't really enjoy that, but the fact that I can re-roll all of my Gauntlet and RedSec ones and get regular multiplayer ones is fine by me. I really don't care about that, and even if they're a little bit more difficult, that's fine. The other thing is the player base drop off, right? So this game has had a absolutely biblical player fall off on paper, right? So if we talk about how Battlefield 6 had like the best selling shooter of 2025, like it was the head honcho. It sold the most copies out of any shooter in 2025. And then the player base starts falling off. Well, I expect that to happen in a lot of ways, right? So the way I got it figured is that Battlefield is sort of like, it's a social game, right? Like COD was that way for a lot of people too. There were so many people that bought an old COD, like they would buy Modern Warfare 3 or they'd buy Black Ops 2 or whatever because their buddies played it, right? Like it was like, okay, well, this may not be my main game. It's not my jive, but I know all my buddies play it, so I can hop on and play around with the homies. And I think Battlefield has always been good for that because it's a really fun game to where like I know a lot of friends that have this game, and I can just every once in a while say, hey, let's load up in a squad and go play. Like it may not be my main game forever, and it may not be their main game forever, but it's a good game to have in common and a good game to be able to play with the homies. So in my mind, Battlefield and even COD to an extent have sort of become like the console war buying decision, which in my mind, what console I was getting was more determined by what my friends had and who I could play with than it was what the specs of the console were. Like between an Xbox 360 or like a PS3, it was just based on where my friends were. The PS4 was starting to get like a little bit more like, okay, that's an objectively better console, but I was going to get it anyway. And then I had a lot of friends that were on Xbox move over to it, and they never switched back. Likewise with PC, once you switch to PC, gaming is fundamentally a social thing. That's all I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think the player base is naturally going to fall off, and it might even fall off a cliff, but I think I would be interested to know the number of recurring players, like how many novel players log in each day versus how many are online at any given point in time. I think that'd be an interesting metric to maybe take a look at, because obviously people are leaving, but it might be because some people log in on, like you have a whole different, 20,000 people, or maybe like 50% of them are different on a Tuesday than a Thursday or something. You never know. So I don't think we should count the eggs before they hatch as far as the player base for this game goes, especially since it is only season 1. And people that are saying, oh, well, DICE hasn't released a roadmap, they don't give a shit about this game, they're going to bail on it. I would like to counter that point by saying that Battlefield 2042 still got like 7 seasons, right? Plus other mini events. Like that game was DED dead like before the end of season 1, and yet they persisted and they went on. And, I think that was sort of the way with Battlefield 4 and previous Battlefields too, where even if they kind of release in a mess, I think one thing we can say is that, this game does have good bones. Like we can, spaghetti code be what it is, and people be, complaining about things, and balance will change and metas will shift, and some things will become more and less jank with time. But I think that overall, like DICE has a really, really good winning formula on their hands here that I think a lot of people actually do resonate with. It might not have a lot of staying power with a lot of people, but it definitely does have, like, it scratches the Battlefield itch, and anyone that I think really does enjoy Battlefield or has enjoyed Battlefield probably will find something here. It's not the same as Battlefield 4. It's not the same as Battlefield Bad Company. It's not the same as 2042. It's not the same as Battlefield 1. It's not the same as Battlefield 5. But it is its own thing, and I think that there is there's a lot of ground here for DICE to make up, and a lot of ground for them to really win people over. We know the little bird's coming into the game. We know that that's gonna happen. We don't know exactly when, but it's in the game. It's in the campaign already, and people have glitched it into some online matches. So we know it's there. We know it's probably just in the final phases of being ironed out. We also we're gonna get new maps. So if DICE is able to keep up the fidelity of maps, I think one thing that we can maybe work on, or maybe DICE can work on, is fidelity can scale, right? So like if you have, these maps are very small, but they're very dense. And you can put the same amount of attention to detail in a larger map and still spread it out, right? So like, I think there's a lot of examples in Battlefield 2042. Like to me, Orbital comes to mind, where it's like a really big map, but there's nothing really of any note or quality going on. Like even if you get to the quote unquote like exciting points of the map, there's not like a whole lot there, right? Like whereas in Battlefield 6, you kind of have a lot of these areas where like the entire map feels like, you're hard pressed to find an area where nothing's happening, where you're just going to be running across a field for 10 minutes and then you get beamed by a sniper. I think that maybe going this way for the average person is a little bit better. I think when people boot up a casual arcade shooter, they don't want to run for 5 minutes across a map to get beamed by a sniper and have to do the whole thing over again. I don't think that qualifies as fun for a lot of people. So I think even if maybe it's a bit of a meat grinder, like the kills per minute and the actions per minute of this game tend to be a little bit more satisfactory. Like if you look at the servers that are constantly still populated in BF3 and BF4, it's lockers and Metro, right? Like it's 24/7 lockers, it's 24/7 Metro. And even if you play games like Plutonium, Black Ops 2 or something, right? Like the most populated servers, 24/7 Nuketown, right? So people really like these meat grinders because you can kind of turn your brain off and just, monkey react to stimuli. And I think that's okay. Like, I think that's fine. I think there is an opportunity for bigger maps. I would like to see maybe something. The vehicle combat in this game feels really good. The vehicles feel a little bit too fleshed out for having like tanks be, either relegated to like artillery or, being maimed as soon as they get out in combat. I know there's got to be some sort of happy medium there, and I know DICE will figure it out. But I think we've got some good bones here to work with, right? Like I don't think this game is going to be one where DICE just kind of throws the baby out with the bathwater. And anyone who may think that, I would argue they don't have a solid understanding of DICE's willingness to commit to a title, even when maybe it's not. It doesn't start out that great. Like, Battlefield 4 did not have a good start. Battlefield 2042 did not have a good start, and arguably it did not have a good life. A lot of people will tell you that Battlefield 6 or Battlefield 2042 just was never good. But, credit where it's due. DICE stuck with that thing, and they worked on it. They released content, and they ended up making what I think was a very cromulent experience. Whether or not it was what people in the franchise that play the franchise wanted, whether the vision landed with people or not, doesn't necessarily that's not part of my calculus in a way, right? Like I think the game was good. Like I think the gunplay was good. If you told me that this was a DLC update for 2042 where they changed the UI and changed the lighting around a little bit, I wouldn't really to me, a lot of my habits from 2042 transfer over to this game quite smoothly. Like I'm not, I think it's people that are like, oh, this game's I think that maybe there was more to people's complaints about the movement and the acceleration and whatever in 2042 than what it actually was. I think that was sort of a shibboleth for many other things in the game that people didn't really like. But I find that a lot of the strategies and the way I played 2042 are highly applicable in Battlefield 6, and sometimes even more so. But yeah, so That's really it, guys. Like and subscribe, and let me know what you think. Bye.